Okay, here are the headlines. Less than 10% of the population are on track for a comfortable retirement. 12.2 million of those currently working will face pension poverty. This could mean your kids, maybe you. Find out what you can do about it here. 90% we hear of those currently in work will not have a comfortable retirement. I'd say that relates much more to the very young generation, probably our kids, and I'll explain why. Now we boomers, and I'm an unashamed boomer, we're okay. Generally we're okay. We had the advantage of those wonderful final salary pensions, which were kind of invented and came in after the Second World War, where you got, and probably a lot of you are getting, a percentage of your salary for every year that you worked for a big company or corporation. And there were jobs for life. Very rare thing these days. Now, those big pension schemes became unaffordable because we're all living longer and the 100-year life is becoming more common, and because successive governments tinkered around and made them more expensive, insisting that a big chunk was invested in government bonds to secure them, but also meant they had a ready market for government debt. Interest rates fall, they get too expensive. Most of those schemes, 90%, unless they're actually funded by the government, have disappeared and closed. What's there instead are the money purchase savings schemes type of pension. People in their 40s and 50s tend to have a bit of a mix of all sorts, and a lot of them are doing okay. Will never do as well probably as the previous generation, but it's the ones below that, those in their 20s and 30s, that I think we need to be worrying about. Now, to try and make things better, around 10 years ago, auto-enrolment pensions were introduced, and what that meant is that unless you opted out, if you would go into a pension scheme paid for in part by your employer, you put 5% in, they put 5% in, and there are a number of these schemes. The worst one of all is the one most people have. It's called NEST, the National Employers Savings Trust, which is a government-sponsored type of pension. Most of the big companies offer these types of scheme. Now, problem is, first of all, 10%, even through the whole of your working life, is not going to get you enough money to have a comfortable retirement. Comfortable is different for everyone, of course, but I would say having maybe half of what you're earning now as a pension, which is what you could probably have looked forward to in one of those big pension schemes, which have now disappeared. I'd say that's the minimum for what somebody would call comfortable. You've got your state pension, of course. The age for that now is 67. I would reckon by the time our 20 and 30-year-olds are getting to retirement age, that's going to get more and more distant and head into maybe the 70s. The current lot of index linking, that triple lock, which means it's inflated at the best rate of inflation or the highest rate of inflation, somebody's going to have to bite the bullet and get rid of that. There'll be a lock of some kind, but it will be a single worst lock, I would guess. So those auto-enrolment pensions aren't going to make you enough money to give you the half of your salary, which probably is what most, as we said, will see as a minimum. The other problems with them are that unless you make your own investment decisions, you'll go into a very vanilla type of fund, which gives you even less chance of getting to that comfortable retirement level. And you can opt out. And a lot of younger people do just that. And they do it because they see 10% of their salary going out. They're not earning much. They think they can't afford it. Or, as others I've spoken to have said, well, we're never going to make it to 60, 70. Global warming is going to blow the planet up by then anyway. Well, who knows? You could invest in an ethical fund, take some control, make some choices. Bottom line is, More needs to go in than that 10%. You need to stay in it from the age of 20 right through to 60 something, maybe even 70 something, to get yourself to that comfortable retirement. And even looking at my own flock, by the time you're 30 something, you could have gathered 4 or 5 of these things. And again, most people will have letters which they were given when they first joined, may well have lost those, will probably have lost track of all sorts of bits of these. They should be getting them together, putting them into the latest scheme they're in, doing something with them, making sure they're invested properly. Most people don't. As a responsible boomer, the other thing you can do, if you've got some surplus income or you want to make a gift, a lot of people we speak to want to gift money to the next generation to reduce their inheritance tax, use their annual gifting allowance. You can give £3,000 away without it affecting your inheritance tax when you go. That's the amount you can pay into a pension for somebody else without any problems. And it seems a convenient thing to do. If you have a working or a non-working child, just give them a hand, pay something into their pension, give them a lift up the ladder. We need to do something about it. I doubt any government is going to grasp the nettle and do anything or help us out. We're going to have to be self-sufficient. A lot of those 40 and 50-year-olds and 20 and 30-year-olds are hoping they're going to inherit from us boomers, from my generation. That will help, but as things go on, the amount of inheritance available is surely going to decrease as well. It's a problem. Financial advice can help. It always does. Come and talk to us.